Hey, and welcome to the Super Science channel. Today I will be covering a curious event in chess history. We chess fans can argue all we want about the match of the century or the best queen sacrifice and so on. And lately I've been getting a ton of messages from people asking me about some of my favorite chess moments. So here is what I consider, personally, to be the biggest blunder in recent chess history by Magnus Carlsen against Vegar Tryggeseid at NQC in 2011. So the year is 2011 and Magnus Carlsen is playing against Vegar Tryggeseid in the Nordic qualifying finals for the 39th annual chess championship in Larvik, Norway. Magnus and Vegar play with quite similar styles and has even previously had the same personal chess mentor, Bendik Aunan. So they know each other, but the rivalry is of course pretty strong and fierce. This is the third match and the position is tied, so there is really no room for any hiccups since this is a pretty crucial match. Now let's have a look. But if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that bell icon for more awesome big brain science topics. Welcome to the Super Science family. Now first move from Vegar with whites, c3, then Magnus, g6. Vegar then plays c4, a curious move from which Carlsen responds with bishop to h6. Possibly hinting at a Bohemian defense with a bishop-pawn exchange at d2 later on. Vegar then plays c5, and a possible move from now on would perhaps be pawn to c6, hindering the attack, or even knight to h to c6. But Magnus ignores the attack and plays f5, setting up a Kasparov variation of the Bohemian, possibly awaiting a queenside attack from Vegar. Vegar then plays c6, seemingly offering a pawn exchange, which probably wouldn't been the best move, giving black upper hand this early in the game. But Carlsen plays e6 and continues putting a lot of pressure on the white queen file, also preparing for a knight to f6 possibly, which would give black kingside an excellent defense. And now Vegar makes the first of many crucial moves, and this is where Magnus makes his first blunder. Vegar captures on b7 and puts Carlsen white bishop and queen rook in danger. The best move here would probably be a capture on b7 with white bishop, but here is where Magnus plays one of the worst blunders in recent history, in my opinion. He plays knight to f6. In theory, this would give black a pretty good kingside defense, and a good next move would in theory be bishop to e3, offering an exchange. But now Vegar captures rook on e8, turning his attacking pawn into a queen, and instead of addressing the invading pawn, Magnus plays the bishop e3, offering an exchange, which Vegar refuses and captures knight on b8, slowly inching his way towards the black kingside, perhaps too slow for Carlsen to notice. Since Vegar turned down the bishop exchange, Carlsen played bishop back to h6, a pretty standard, reasonable move, still putting pressure on pawn close to the white king. But given this circumstance, perhaps king to f7 would have been a better move, moving the king out of danger from the queenside attack. Now Vegar captures on c8, offering a queen exchange, which would normally be accepted. Perhaps king to f7 would maybe even be a preferable move, but then the king would be pinned on the white file by Vegar's second queen. But this is where Magnus plays perhaps one of the biggest second blunders of the match, rook to f8, possibly preparing for a spearhead attack on Vegar's kingside, possibly thinking that the king is protected by knight on f6. Here Magnus would have played perhaps king to e6, or should have, so that when the queen captures on d8, the king can safely escape to d6 on the next move. Heck, even rook to b8, or perhaps even knight to b4 would have given Magnus an upper hand on the board at this stage, but Magnus prepared for an aggressive Bobby Fischer spearhead. Then Vegar captures on d8, after which Magnus simply resigned the game. There was simply no option, since the queen on d8 covers both e8 and 7. Checkmate.
Checkmate.
I'm not gonna lie, it would be pretty interesting to see how this game would have played out had Magnus not resigned. He could play king to e7, but then he would still be threatened by the white queen. And when he had played king to f7, Vegar would simply play checkmate on e7, so there was pretty much nothing you could do at this point for Carlsen. It's interesting to see a player of this caliber make that kind of mistake. But as they say, anything can happen when you play against TV1000 Vegar. Let me know in the comments if there are any similar games you'd like me to cover. I'm always deeply engaged in reading about this beautiful sport around the clock. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you will never miss out on an incredible space exploration nature science thumbs up. Thank you, and see you in the next video.
Enig med du spalte, så da det greit å ha en litt på en måte kanskje, ja.